How so you have that access to the clubhouse. I'm wondering, how do you think Mr. Fuji is fitting in? I see him on the Tiny Mike interviews, and he's got a lot of English words, but I know it can be just really tough for players who Japanese is such a different language, just showing up, and it's not like the Latino players who have a bunch of other people that they can talk to
Right.
and hang out. Yeah.
I will say this: my impression is that when we get to opening day and people look at the American League West, certainly the Astros are the class of the division. I get that. Jacob deGrom and all the money that the Rangers spent. Mariners getting to the postseason for the first time since 2001. And will the Angels keep Shohei Ohtani, and will they get to the playoffs? Well, that's going to happen. For me, Shohei Ohtani is the big story because they're going to be talking about every day. And right behind him is Fujinami. And those guys have been tied together since 2012.
Yeah.
He has been fun to see interact in the clubhouse. He wants to be one of the guys, through Issei, his interpreter, who also, by the way, is a strength coach. So not your normal interpreter who knows the language on both sides of the Pacific Ocean, but this guy has a little more in his game than just that. So I'm sure he's been involved in part of Fuji's team with the things that he does,
nice,
getting ready for a game. So here's what I think about Fuji. This is a guy that I think if you could drill down and really ask him, he feels like he should have been here years ago in the United States. He wanted to be posted years ago. He wanted to be on the Ohtani track. And when that didn't happen, I think you can make the case that he went, that it got in his head. And you could see those numbers go sideways. He had trouble with control, couldn't find the strike zone, spent some time back and forth, Japanese big leagues, and then down Japanese minor leagues, back and forth, including last year. But I think last year he finally turned the corner at the end. I think this is where I think he wants this moment. I think he wants this opportunity to shine. He's got the stuff. Certainly control has been an issue in the past, but when you throw 99 and he's got this devastating split-fingered fastball to go with the slider and the curveball, I think he will be so much fun to watch. If you can get 140 to 150 innings from Fujinami, for me, that is major success and major value. Plus, remember, in order to get him to come to the United States, he's not under control with the A's. This is it. It's a one-year deal. So he's the guy that's going to be gathering a lot of attention. He's pitching for himself. He's pitching for a bigger contract in the big leagues, using the A's as a possible springboard. The A's are certainly a team that would say, look, if you're pitching well, hey, don't forget us. We're the ones that brought you here. So let's figure out a way to keep you, even if it means on a shorter deal, at least at first, with a bump up in your salary from past $3 million. That will be interesting to see. But I really do believe that Fujinami thinks that his time is overdue. He's ready to accept the challenge, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, it's interesting that you say that the A's might try and bump up his salary or try and sign him again. I kind of figured, oh well, if this guy's any good and the A's are as bad as we think that they might be, then this is sort of a win-win for the A's, where we at least spent some money for so they don't complain as much about the revenue sharing, and maybe we can trade him at the trade deadline if he's any good. But yeah, I mean, that'd be really cool. And he seems like a really personable guy. I really hope we get to hear more from him.
Well, it's a fair point. I mean, there's no question that if he's pitching well, that there's going to be conversations about him around the trade deadline, and how the A's handle that remains to be seen. And I'm hopeful that he pitches the opening weekend against the Angels. I think it's
that'd be fun.
Pretty much a done deal that you're going to see Paul Blackburn at opening night against Shohei on Thursday, off on Friday. Then you got the Saturday and the Sunday. I'm hopeful that he's in one of those games in the rotation. I mean, how could he not be? You're trying to create buzz. You're trying to create excitement as best you can, and that's one way to do it. And
from my perspective of the person in the seats with the fans, those Shohei days are something special, and I'm really hoping. I think it'd be really great too if if the Japanese fans are in town for Shohei's opening day, if they stick around for Fuji, I've said this before on this seasons of this podcast. The Japanese fans are, first of all, they're just a delight to interact with. And
the important question is, do they buy hot dogs?
Well, so they do buy hot dogs. I will say, Japanese fans, if you're listening, I feel like the tipping custom in Japan is less strong than it is in the United States.
The truth comes out.
How do you design a hot dog, an American hot dog, for a Japanese fan? Do you have anything special that you could give them that gives them a little bit of a Japanese flavor?
I think that they really love, I think in Japan they really like pickled stuff. So that sauerkraut is always a big
Get
winner
some
with
seaweed
them.
wrap that thing in seaweed.
That's why, honestly, that's why I'm not getting the tips. I need to have like shrimp chips to put on top of it.
Well, Vince, do you think it's possible they go to, Katsei's talked about the possibility of a 6-man rotation or something like kind of like, a normal 5 days, but then Fuji every Tuesday or something like that, like a once a week Fuji, something like. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah. I think it's a real possibility, and they'll try to figure it out. It's almost like a hybrid or 5.5 man or 6 man.
Yeah.
They'll take advantage of the off days. Guys will get extra time off and have to adjust to that kind of schedule. We know pitchers are very much creatures of habit. They've got certain throw days, certain rest days, certain lift days to get them strong for their next start. I think they're all on board with that. And it will be an adjustment. It will not be a straight up 5-man rotation with Fuji in there. It'll take some balance. It'll take some work. It'll take some time where he's going to be between starts, and that's why I think if you can get to 140 or 150 innings, I would be really happy with that in his first major league season.